everybody, Peppermint here, and welcome back to another episode of the Anomaly. And of course, I am back on the title screen because this music is hella chill. I don't know, it's really cool. But anyways, let's load up our save and continue on where we left off. Alright, thanks for joining us, Tucker. I groaned under my breath and slumped down at my desk, failing to slip into the classroom either unnoticed or right on time. I wasn't late per se, and I hadn't missed anything, but Mrs. Gonzalez seemed to enjoy pointing my little failures out to the rest of the class, as if it was a little game for her. At this point, I was all but immune to her meaningless jabs, though, so I sent her a faint smile and wave as I got settled in. As I was saying, we have a new student joining us today, Kiera Vinter. Hello. Because it wouldn't be a visual novel without a new transfer student, now would it? The class responded with a bored, uneven chorus of greetings, punctuated by a few boys in the class whispering inappropriate comments to each other and snickering under their breath. I wouldn't excuse their improper remarks, but it was easy to see where they came from. Kiera was an attractive young woman with soft, delicate features highlighted by her creamy, pale skin. It wasn't every day that a girl like Kiera walked into the school, so naturally the boys took quick notice. I'd appreciate it if all of you made Kiera feel right at home. Now, if you'd just find an empty seat, dear. Kiera nodded to the teacher, her dark, shining hair bouncing along the edges of her brilliant golden eyes as she moved to the empty seat. Let me guess, is it right next to me? I couldn't take my eyes off her as she made her way across the room, following the subtle swaying motion of her arms and body. Ugh. It was only when her eyes met mine, sparkling a deep, Aurelian hue beneath the harsh fluorescent lighting overhead, that I broke eye contact and buried my gaze in my desk in front of me. Smooth, Tucker. Stare at the new girl like an idiot. That's how you make a good first impression. You don't mind if I sit here, do you? Of course. And following the usual cliche, the new transfer student is going to sit right next to us. I was almost too lost in my thoughts to realize that she was talking to me, and I wound up staring dumbly towards the girl as she offered me a small smile, one of her hands resting on the chair beside me. I blinked, regaining my composure and shaking off the surprise. Right, sorry, of course not. Be my guest. Thanks. I scooted my chair to the side a bit, giving her more room at the long, shared table I was sitting at. Whether I'd made myself look like an idiot or not, Kara was sitting next to me, and I needed to relax if I didn't want to make things worse for myself. No problem. I'm Tucker. Yeah, Mrs. Gonzalez sort of introduced both of us to the class. Right, haha, sorry. Oh god. Don't be. It's nice to meet you, Tucker. You too. So where are you from? West Coast. Moved out here with my dad a couple of weeks ago, actually. I don't know what is going on with her mouth, but it looks really not like a mouth. I don't know, it looks scary. Really? I've only been out there once to visit family, but it was pretty cool. Hell of a lot warmer out there. It's a bit chillier here, yeah. I would have smacked myself in the face if Kiera hadn't been sitting right next to me. Here was my chance to talk with a cute new girl in school, and what was I going on about? The weather. I silently cursed myself, racking my brain for something, anything to say to salvage my generic, cringe-worthy dialogue. So, that's all for now, everyone. Be sure to hand in your club forms before Friday. See you later, Tucker. Oh yeah, nice talking to you. Wait, didn't we literally just start class? Like, we just got here. She walked in, introduced herself, and then class ended. Okay. I gave her a pitiful little wave as she smiled and walked off, leaving me sitting there feeling like an even bigger idiot than before. An audible thud sounded as I let my face drop to my desk, my forehead smacking down against faux wood surface. Maybe I'll do better next time. If there is a next time. blew it with another one, huh? I didn't blow anything. We just didn't get very long to talk, that's all. It kinda sounds like you did blow it. I covered my face and grumbled, trying my best not to dwell on what my friends had so kindly identified as a crushing failure. They weren't helping, but at least they were honest. It's all about first impressions, bro. West Coast girls are all about having fun, getting wild, bruh. Yeah, bruh. West Coast. Do you really think talking about the weather is going to make her want to see you again? I'd known Ethan almost as long as I'd known Ross, and despite our striking differences, we'd always been pretty tight. Our interests came to a crossroads years ago, and while Ross and I poured our time into computers, Ethan got more into sports and that sort of thing. He was more of an outcast than a jock, but he'd always had a place in our odd little circle of friends all the same. Sometimes his bludgeoning style of advice was refreshing. Other times it just pissed me off. I hate girls like that. Doesn't sound like you're missing out on much, Tucker. Oh, Valerie, you're just jealous because you're wearing a scarf that doesn't match your outfit. Hey now, we can't really say much without even meeting the girl. I say you try your luck again, Tuck. Lena was probably the most eloquent one in our group, even though she was a year younger than all of us. She was young, beautiful, cheerful, ridiculously popular, and hardly fit into our little band of nerds and misfits. If it weren't for Ross being her beloved older brother, she probably wouldn't have batted an eye at the rest of us. That said, she didn't quite fit the mean girl mold. And hey, it's always better with friends around, right? That's what she said. Ha ha ha, nice one. Okay, can I just like delete Ross? Can I delete his data file out of the game? Like, is that a thing I can do? I groaned louder, hardly in the mood for Ross's stupid jokes. Lena did have more of a point than Ethan. There was really no way to know for sure what Kiara thought about me without talking to her more, and I couldn't argue with the fact that I was always more comfortable around my friends. All right, enough playing Dr. Philip. I'll figure it out myself, okay? Isn't that her right over there? Sure enough, across the cafeteria and looking a little out of place as she looked for a place to sit was Kiara. She shifted her weight back and forth from foot to foot, surveying the room and doing her best not to lock eyes with anyone. As attractive and confident as she seemed to be, she was still the new kid in school, and it was never very fun figuring out where to sit on your first day. You could just eat in the bathroom and cry. That's what I did in high school. It is! This is perfect. Bring her over. Will you guys please shut up? I'll be right back. Go get her. If any of you embarrass me, I swear to God. I hurried off before anyone had a chance to reply. As much as I appreciated my little circle of friends, they didn't always have the most tactful approach to things. It wasn't usually that big of a deal, but I really didn't want them to screw things up this time. Hey, Kiara. Oh, hey, Tucker, right? The way her eyes lit up as she looked at me and smiled took all of the courage I had mustered and squeezed it out of me like a tube of yogurt. My throat felt dry and stiff, my tongue felt out of place in my mouth, and my chest tensed up as I forced out a weak reply. Yeah, how are you? Good, I guess. Just looking for a place to sit, that's all. My, friends and I are all sitting over there if you wanted. Yeah. Oh my god. I'm so glad I'm not in school anymore. Like, this is bringing back, like, the worst memories of high school ever. She smiled again, chuckling at my obvious nerves. I felt like an idiot. It wasn't like me to be so shaky and off my game. Oh, let's be real, Tucker, you don't have any game. For some reason, I just couldn't find my footing around this girl, but thankfully it didn't look like she was too put off by my lack of charisma yet. You don't mind if I sit with you guys? No, I mean, yeah, totally. You want to? Haha, sure, lead the way. Guys, this is Kira. She's the new student I was telling you about. Hey, nice to meet all of you. I sat down with Kira, crossing my fingers beneath the table. Everyone seemed to be behaving for the moment, just exchanging greetings and pleasantries with her while I took a moment to gather myself. For a minute, I started to feel bad for doubting my friends so much in the first place. They had my back, right? Maybe I didn't have anything to worry about. You're from Cali, right? So are those real? Oh my god, are you serious? Are what real? Ethan, don't be disgusting. Hey, I'm just asking. I mean, she doesn't even have boobs. Like, Valerie's boobs are way bigger than hers. If anyone got a boob job, it was probably Valerie. Isn't every day we get a Californian around here. I was trying to look, but it's hard to tell. Anyways, tell us about yourself, Kiera. And look at look at Lena's boobs. Like, holy crap. I mean, she obviously hasn't had a boob job. Tucker has been talking about you all day, but we should totally have a little girl chat and get to know each other. I buried my face in my hands against the table, stifling a groan. Ethan was being Ethan, and Lena was hardly helping my cause either. Part of me wanted to grab Kira by the arm and get her away from this mess before Ross cracked an inappropriate joke and got into a fight with Val, but it was a little too late for that at this point. No, it was time for me to do some damage control if I wanted this girl to ever talk to me again. I nudged her side and got her attention so I could talk to her quietly. They're an interesting bunch. Sorry about Ethan. He doesn't always, think before he speaks. Heh, don't worry about it. They seem really cool. They are, once you get to know them at least. She smiled and gave me a little nod, looking back to Lena and continuing their conversation. Ethan, Lena, and the rest of my posse may have been a little odd, but they were my friends. It was a good sign that Kara hadn't run off yet, and I wasn't going to waste the opportunity sitting around and worrying about things. I think it's so cool that you made such a huge move. I've never even been out of state. It's so lame. It's a little bit of a pain. Isn't the first time we've had to make a big move because of my dad's work, but I guess it's sort of cool too. Yeah, what does your dad do for work? It's kind of confusing, but he does stuff with computers, programming and that kind of thing. Really? That's kind of our thing. I mean, Ross and Valerie and I at least. We're kind of a big deal. Oh my god, Ross. Is that right? And what do you guys do exactly? All kinds of fun stuff. But yeah, we're in the computer science club here. Fun stuff, huh? Like what? Let's just say it's not always entirely legal because, we're so cool. We hack into our school's website and face swap the teachers' pictures. Like the coolest thing ever, right? Whoa, don't give her the wrong idea. We just have a little fun hacking into things and mixing things up a bit. Sometimes. So you're hackers. Interesting. It's more complicated than that, but yeah, there's not a whole lot to do in this town, so it's kind of how we have fun, I guess. It's a little too nerdy for my taste, but I'll admit, it's fun to watch sometimes. They've pulled off some pretty cool stuff. I bet. You'll have to let me tag along next time you guys do something cool, Tucker. If you really want to, totally. Things were hardly going how I might have expected them to. Despite my oddball friends and sudden lack of social skills, Kira actually seemed to be enjoying herself. I wasn't about to claim victory just yet, but it was starting to look like my earlier foul-up wasn't quite as disastrous as I thought. I'll hold you to that, sir. I'm allergic to boredom, so ha ha. Uh. I'm allergic to tree nuts, and Tucker offered me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich last week, so your mileage may vary. Peanuts are a legume, so what's wrong with that? Ross raised his eyebrows, giving the girl a brief look before adjusting his glasses and taking a bite of his sandwich. All right, the girl's got some game. What do you think, Val? Valerie glanced up at Ross with a dull expression, looking lost and bored. I stifled a chuckle and leaned back in my seat. As quick on her toes as she could be, Valerie had a funny habit of slipping into her own little world from time to time. Judging from the look on her face, this was one of those times. She jelly. What? Looks like you've got the all clear then, newbie. I couldn't help but burst out laughing at Ross and Valerie's little exchange. Judging from Kira's uncontrollable giggling a moment later, it looked like her crash course in learning everyone's quirks was going pleasantly enough. What? What's everyone laughing about? You guys are so silly. I've got class soon, though. See you later. Oh, damn, it got late quick. I've got philosophy in a few minutes. Mr. Anderson's class? Same here. Oh man, we're meant to be. OMG, really? Like, let's walk together. Like, I'll carry your books for you, like. I rolled my eyes at Ethan's teasing, giving him a mostly playful slug in the shoulder before turning back to Kira and exchanging dismissive chuckles. Ethan was a good guy, but his sense of humor usually involved pushing the buttons of everyone around him. It took a little bit of getting used to him to know that he rarely, if ever, meant any harm by his comments. I'll see you guys later, alright? It was great meeting everyone. Nice meeting you, Kiara. I thought she was gone already. Okay, you guys still haven't told me what was so funny. It's your scarf, Valerie. See ya, Tucker, new girl. Later, noobs. We all exchanged goodbyes, splitting off and heading towards our different classes. I feel so old. Like, if this is how people seriously talk in high school nowadays, like, oh my god. I don't know how you would survive. I survived the encounter without making too much of a fool of myself, and against all odds, it looked like Kara actually had a good time. In retrospect, I may have given my friends a little too much flack, even if it was silent and with good reason. They may have been a little offbeat, but they were good guys, and if Kara could see that, I didn't have a whole lot to worry about. Well, that was cool. Your friends are great. I'm glad he thinks so. I was a little worried. Oh, come on. If you don't know how to screw around in school, then you're doing something wrong. You shouldn't worry so much. I know you're right. Still, they can be a little... that afraid of scaring me away, huh? My words caught in my throat as Kara shot me a knowing smirk. If it wasn't bad enough that I was still fumbling over myself around her, now I knew how easy it was for her to see through me. I winced at the comment, trying to play it off with a laugh, but her face told me how pointless it was for me to dodge the truth. Yeah, I totally think you're hot. Fair enough, but like I said, you really should stop worrying so much. I'm not that easy to get rid of. She punctuated her comment with a playful grin, and before I could gather my nerves to respond, we reached our classroom. All I could do was offer a dumb smile back, opening the door for the girl and following her in. Her charisma wasn't much of a boost to my own, but at least now I knew she had ideas of sticking around for the time being. We slipped in the class just before it started and sat down at desks beside each other. Mr. Anderson, a thin, pale man with a receding gingery hairline, gave us both a welcoming nod before getting the class started. A philosophy lesson was really the last thing my mind wanted to focus on. I had never had much of an interest in the class at all, only taking it because I had heard it was easy enough to just slide through and I needed to fill out my schedule. I forced myself to pay attention though, as even though the assignments were as easy as I'd hoped, Mr. Anderson's tests were murder. Alright everyone, settle down. Today we're going to have a little bit of fun and take a break from our discussion of realism, since I know that it can be such a heady subject. Today we'll be talking about a few thought experiments. He turned and scrawled the term on the chalkboard behind him before writing a few things down under it that looked to be examples of what he meant. The cow in the field, the ship of Theseus, Schrodinger's cat. He turned back to face the rest of us. What exactly is a thought experiment? Does anybody know? No. Well, a thought experiment is exactly what it sounds like, an experiment played entirely in the mind. They're meant to make us think, to ask questions. Sometimes it's a moral question, and sometimes it makes us question our perception of reality altogether. I held back a yawn, glancing over towards Kira. I'm not sure what I expected to see, but her eyes were focused hard on the teacher as he spoke, paying close attention to his words and jotting down notes all the while. It wasn't that I hated philosophy class entirely, but there were a myriad of other things on my mind and classes I preferred. It didn't help that Mr. Anderson had a habit of winding on and on about things, as if ontological realism would be of any use to me aside from one of his tests. Let's look let's look at a few examples of some more famous and well-known thought problems. The ship of Theseus is a classic example that focuses on the question of identity. Strangely enough, I actually know what the ship of Theseus is. It goes as such. The famous ship, sailed by the ancient hero Theseus, is kept in a harbor as part of a museum display. As the years go on, some of the wooden parts of the ship begin to rot away. They are replaced one by one until every board of the ship has been replaced. Is the ship in the harbor still the ship of Theseus? And if all the rotted pieces were able to be restored and put back together again, which ship of Theseus is the original? I snuck another look at Kira, meeting eyes with her as she idly chewed on the end of her pencil, while Mr. Anderson was busy getting thoughts on the question from other students. She flashed me a smile before looking back towards the teacher. Maybe she just had a hell of a lot better listening skills than I did, but it wasn't hard to see that she had a thing for philosophy, or at least this part of it. I should have been listening properly in the first place, but it didn't hurt to have a little more motivation to pay attention. But perhaps the most famous of all the thought experiments is Schrodinger's cat. This one is often found in discussing quantum mechanics, which makes it sound like it would be above your level, but I think you all should be able to handle it. In this experiment, a cat is placed inside a closed box that you cannot see inside. Poison is introduced inside the box with the cat. Until you look into the box at the cat is both alive and dead. Once you look inside, the cat can only be alive or dead. Until you look, both are a possibility, and some believe that once you look at the cat, you determine what reality you're in, and what reality exists as a world running parallel to our own. But before you look, one must wonder what the state of the dead and alive cat is. What do you make of it, Tucker? Huh? What do you mean? The thought experiments, they're a bit odd to think about, aren't they? And it's not like there's any real solid answer. You could spend hours debating it or just talking yourself in circles. Honestly, they're a bit too much for me. Maybe it's a bit better to have something with a concrete answer to it instead of just more and more questions. Maybe, but they are fun in a way. How so? I don't know. Maybe you can tell a lot about a person by what their answers to one of them might be. Like that one question about the train going down the tracks and there are people tied up. You can do nothing and 5 people will die, or you can pull the lever to switch the tracks and send it off towards one person, but then you're making the choice that one person will die. You can learn a lot about a person by what choice they make and how they justify it. Guess I didn't think about it that way. What would your choice be? Huh? Would you pull the lever to switch the track? I think I'll keep that a secret from you for now. Well, that'll be all for today. Tests on Monday, so study, study, study. Kira and I got up with the rest of the class, quickly gathering our things and pouring out of the classroom. Alright, you guys, that was not the most eventful episode, but I'm going to go ahead and end it here because we are at time. So hopefully next episode we'll have a bit more of the hacking stuff and maybe we'll figure out like what the overarching story of this game is. I mean, I'm still enjoying it, but you know, I'm so glad I'm not in high school anymore. I kind of don't really want to experience a simulated high school. So we'll hope the story picks up next episode. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, leave a like. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.